Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Star Wars Galaxy Yeti coming to you with another episode of Strat Chat. We got our boy Calvin Awesome in tonight, coming to have a chat with us. Thank you so much for joining us. If you guys don't know Calvin Awesome, he just had a very successful 3v3 campaign where I think he finished 12th in Division 1?
Yep, exactly that. I finished 12th place. Couldn't quite nail down the top 10, but I'm very happy with top 12.
Yeah, it's a funny one because I always go through the top 10 and I'm always like, can beat you, and then there was that guy Nickel up there who had the 8 mil account. I was like, gosh, you would absolutely destroy me.
Like, no, and not even just 8 million, but if you went through his mods,
it was disgusting.
Like 5 straight rows of like 320s, and that's. How that happened is a completely different conversation, but no, yeah, very good player.
He's in my alliance, so I go into the alliance like GAC brag chat, and I'm just like top 90. It's like that's my best ever finish. But I was saying, someone said, oh, congrats or whatever, and I go, yeah, I've done pretty well. Like I've done 100 over top 154 times since I got into Division 1, but I was like, this is the first time breaking 100, and it was funny. And then he's like, I missed Kyber by 70 points. A 5.6 mil GP just like nipped me. I was like, oh, come on.
Oh yeah,
that's brutal.
Oh no, and that. Oh yeah, the leaderboard is a completely different conversation. But there's, I was on the Gambit server earlier, and there was a guy. The guy who's in first right now, I don't remember his name. It's probably better that I don't. But he looks super suspicious. Like, we were going through his battle logs earlier today, and there looks like a lot of sketchy stuff in there. I don't think it's this 5.6 guy you're referring to, though.
The JD Suzuki or whatever?
No, not him. Yeah, he's there because he has, like...
He has the bus account.
Exactly, he has the bus type account, but there's a guy who's above him who I think has 1 GL that is getting, like, full banners with Treya against like Relic, GG or something like that.
Yeah, that's not happening. Yeah, that's not happening.
Anyways, but yeah, cool, very cool for Nickel who worked for it.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like I don't always look through the top 10 like that, but it was really strange. Like when I opened it up and I saw that JD dude up there. Again, I was just like, oh, come on, man.
That's normal.
Like,
yeah, unfortunately.
And because you look at his account and you're just like, I get it. You've built this account that does specifically can get this #1 in the Kyber, but it's literally trash everywhere else. Like, you're not a help in territory wars. You're not a help in territory battles. Yeah, like, TB's a big one. It's like you can't...
Or like Crankcore, like you have like one character that
can actually go into it. Yeah, it's so weird, and it's such a weird spot because as soon as... And here's the crazy part. When Crankcore came out, I actually thought that would signal the death of these kind of accounts. Just because they're not going to be able to get into a guild that's producing enough, to like...
No, yeah, they're not.
Keep them keeping up free to play. Yeah, because you have to contribute, right? In when you're getting into that place where... like they're just starting to complete the Crankcore, you've got to be able to contribute. If you can't even put a single team in there, I mean, that's just not going to work. I don't care how good you are at GAC.
And that's just the future of the game too. Like when we look at Crankcore now, and you can make an argument, Crankcore isn't that important, and that's really debatable. But beyond that, like that's the future of this game. Like any challenge Rancor we get, any new event, any new type of game mode that we get, you're gonna need characters that are at least R5 and above. Like you're really limiting yourself to one game mode with that type of strategy.
100%, and it's really crazy because I feel like CG really showed their hands with the first with those galactic challenges when they first were taking Relic 3 and Relic 5s to do the things.
I thought that's what they were doing. I legitimately thought that's what they were doing. They were trying to gate it between that and cheaters because. If you have to enter R5, you can't cheat and use a gear 2.
Yes, but for me, I mean, I totally get that argument, and that could totally be why it happened. Mm-hmm. But for me, when I saw that, because I've got like you and I both have lean accounts. Like my account's pretty lean. Your account's disgustingly lean. And unlike Bus, you actually have teams that can help your guild. So it's what I mean. It's it's built for more than just GAC, but it's very lean and tight, right? Mm-hmm. Like I build like that. I think that's the way to build. I think that's the best for an account as you're building. And then when you get like to your higher tiers, you can start filling it out with your Relic 5, 7s, or whatever you want to do. But when I saw it, I was getting a little bit worried because I'm like, it's not even that I don't want to do higher gear on some of these characters. I just don't have the stuff. Like I just
No, like that's my big thing about like if we have another Galactic Legend coming out, like I have well, you're a newer player too. I think we talked about this when we were on the Mad Awesome show. The Carbonite circuit boards, that first relic piece, like I have just enough of those for getting one Galactic Legend right now. If I want to bump up all of my like A-, B+ teams to R5, I lose all of that.
Yeah, all of it. And you can't really get back on that. And here's the crazy thing with that. I spend crystals on those. I just can't keep enough in the cupboard there.
I don't want to have to do that. That's the big thing I'm fighting right now. That's why I'm holding back relics, and I'll have to splurge occasionally just to feel good about myself. But no, it's a tight crunch for anyone, or even for the like. I've heard some of the like super veteran players. I've heard them complain about it like post 4GLs.
Yeah, you start like here's the thing. Like I'm gearing up to go for Ray, and I'm looking at it, and I'm just on the understanding now that if I do go and try to get Ray in the next 3 months, you know, because I mean we can talk timelines on next GLs and stuff, but I feel like I'll be able to get Ray before the next GLs come out. But the problem is I won't have the relic materials. I'm probably gonna have to fucking buy it. Like I just don't have enough.
It's very tight, and like this is a speculation field, but we don't know what the next GL is going to be. So far, we've seen this pattern, and this is kind of true for all events, is every single event stacks, it has more requirements. We saw this between the first round of GLs and the second round of GLs. It was more requirements, and it was higher relic levels.
Yeah.
So you just don't know, like, okay, yeah, you have plenty enough for Ray, you can get Ray done, but the second you get Ray done and they launch and your tank is on 0, there's not a lot you can do.
Yeah, exactly. I always looked at it this way, like, because I don't know, I'm starting to kind of move away from this just because I've developed so much of the roster now. Like, I'm kind of a little bit stunned at how many things I don't have start up because there's very few left. Mm-hmm. You know, I was running out of hard node farms the other day, and I was just like, what am I gonna do? And I'm looking, I'm like, I mean, I guess I can get Vandor Chewbacca. Why not? You know, like.
No, I had that moment after my first GL. I was like, okay, so what are some like things that people talk about a lot that I miss? And I went and like got L3 and I got Barris. But yeah, I still like. Sorry if you love him, but I still don't have Vandor.
Yeah, no, I'm not like a huge fan or anything. I know he has some use, but it's more along the lines of my thought right now, because I know you're in a horde mode. Because we talked about this before, where
I am.
You're not going to go for one of the new GLs. You're gonna hold back until you're ready to launch or whatever on another one.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the new GLs, if you will. Like, and if I have a timeline kind of worked out, if in 1 month, the big thing I'm waiting for is May the 4th.
Yeah.
If May the 4th hits, and it becomes clear they're just not doing Galactic Legends for whatever reason, let's say they focus on ships, just imagine that.
Yeah, that'd be kind of crazy.
I would like it personally, but I would pull the trigger on C. But right now, I'm in pretty hard horde mode. Not trying to keep everything down so that if I need C or if I want to get something new, I'm ready for it.
Yeah. It's a weird spot to be in because like when you don't have them all, like you actually have to come up with a reason not to get the ones that you don't have.
Yeah, you do.
And it's strange because originally when I got C, when I got my third, the idea was like, in the cadence that they should be moving, I should just be getting C as they start to announce like all of the requirements for the next ones, and then I'll be able to make a decision. And then it didn't happen, and they keep
totally off cadence.
And they keep doing things that are out of character, so to speak, for a GL farm. Like they're dropping things that can't be GL related. And that's the craziest part. Like you're going, well, it can't be Bad Batch because that's 4 marquees. I mean, that would be a weird deviation to go from C with 1 marquee to 4.
Like I said, it's very out of character.
Yeah, so like
it's very out of character.
It's something's going on, and my thought is with all the new content coming out from Disney, I think Disney's being like, hey, we need you to be updating your game so that these people who are watching the new shows can open up your app and go after these characters and get them easily. That's why I think Bando is so easy to get. Like very low gear, very easy. There's a pack I didn't even know this, but there was a pack that's like
I saw this
super cheap,
on Reddit.
and it's like 50 to 75 shards of each or something, and I think you can get multiples. I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't even know that existed.
It's like a ridiculously good pack. No, we don't, because it's actually not even available for our accounts. Which
it's only available for new accounts. And so it's one of those ones when I like saw that, and I saw that pack, I saw the once again I saw a screenshot of it, and I was like, holy crap, you can get like basically Bando. You get the hyperdrive, and you can go get Bando like first day, basically, with how easy and cheap they made those shards. And so I'm looking at that, I'm like, and now I'm looking at Bad Batch, and I'm sitting there going like, whoa, I bet you money. Because who thought Moff Gideon was going to be on a Cantina node? Nobody on the planet. Nobody on the planet.
Especially a 10 energy Cantina node. We haven't seen that. This is years we're talking about. I think the last one was Kira.
Yeah.
Like back from the Solo movie. Like that like you said, that aligns up with what you're saying. And also putting Mando, like Brown Mando, if you will, he's on a 12 energy node now. Like that is they're just trying to hand it out, even free to play. To these new people that are coming in.
We'll all have them now, like pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
And here's the thing that I'm thinking. I'm looking at Bad Batch, I'm looking at Imperial Remnant, and I'm saying like, so long to like Phoenix into Bastila. This is what they want you to get at the start of the game. I think this is exactly because when you look at Bad Batch, you look at the kit. The first thing that jumped out at me on the kits as Hunter came out, and then when Tech came out, it was reaffirmed, and now Wrecker, it's like right up. This is a PvE monster. This is a PvE monster. They've got regeneration coming everywhere. They've got, stealth and foresight and all this crap, like all this recovery, all the stuff that protects the characters. I'm looking at this going like, I bet you money this is going to rip right through those galactic battles. When the Galactic War or whatever, I bet you they're just going to run right through it really easily. I'm seeing remnants are super easy to get. You look at the characters. You've got Cantina farms for Death Trooper. You got Cantina farm for Moff Gideon. Dark Trooper. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a fleet node. That's where I'm thinking it's going to go, and it's going to be an early fleet node. Yeah. So I'm thinking Dark Trooper probably drops fleet node, and then you're going to get one hard node on the next guy. Whoever comes in to fill in, probably Scout Trooper as a support. And I'm looking at it like this. I'm like, they're going to make these two teams, the teams that you go get your light side, dark side early, instead of getting the Palp and Thrawn thing and before, Phoenix and Bastila. That's no longer going to be the move. This is how you're going to do it now. And I think that's specifically directed by Disney, like, make some synergy for these new players because these are the shows they're watching. These are the characters they want. We see the money.
This is where the money is going to come in from. We need to drive this home. And this is probably unintentional on their part. But what's really kind of cool about that is that kind of counters the new player meta that was coming in right before this, which was Geos.
Yeah.
Like we look at the Bad Batch, and they're obviously amazing characters all around. But they have like anti-separatist synergy out the wazoo.
Yeah.
So
they're specifically built, in my opinion. Sorry to cut you off, but they are specifically built to be a 4 out of 4 light side Geo team right out of the box. As soon as you get them up to relics,
100%
they're gonna crush. Like it's gonna be like when people are going, guys, I'm fucking 4-for-4ing with Mon Mothma. It's gonna be like that, but it's gonna be even more. It's not gonna be like a 10-minute auto fest. It's gonna be
No, and Mon Mothma is super conditional. Like there are squads that'll totally go 4-for-4 with her, but also like if you want to take in like Lando, Wedge, and Biggs, like you're
gonna get crushed. It's gonna go 0-for-4.
You're not going anywhere. I think so too. I think the Bad Batch are gonna be. I'm not sure I'm sure your guild was probably ahead of mine is in LSCB, but we just I think 2 months ago we just made it into P4. Like we're not holding back stars anymore. We're going all the way through. And one of the things that's just absolutely brutal are the platoons.
Yeah.
Like
disgusting.
We're looking at platoons and like, okay, we have a GR Jedi mission and there's like 10 gas that need to be put in here. Like we can't do that. So if you bring in this new squad, the Bad Batch, to completely 4-to-4, let's just say a normal CM or something like that, or a GR CM, that's an entire team that you can now platoon without taking any waves out.
100%. That's always been one of the things. So So adding something like Bad Batch, and then after Bad Batch, right? Like you get the whole Bad Batch thing. There's going to be a 5th Bad Batch that's going to drop. That's going to be a legendary. It's going to be super easy to get. It's going to be sort of like getting, Palpatine back in the day or CLS or something like that. It's going to be Tech Echo, and it's going to drop in there, and that team's just going to fuck. Like just from top to bottom, going to fuck. And here's the crazy part. Everybody's going to be able to run that team, able to get it easily. And 4 for 4, all 4 phases with that team, and one of them's going to be the Cam Shard, the Cam mission. You can do Shock T with 3 of the Bad Batch, I think, and you're just going to run 4 in the Bad Batch. 3 in Arc and Shock. Go in there and rock it out. And yeah, I know it's like you put Tech in there, and I would say Wrecker because of the stealth. And Hunter, Wrecker with Arc and stuff. You can stealth everybody except for Wrecker. Wrecker takes the stuff. You got Tech. You pump him up with health. Tech's giving him 40% or 80% health heals back every 2 turns or something. Like that team's just going to dominate. Just from what you see.
Sorry, continue.
I was just saying, just on what you see on those kits, that team is just going to make that Cam mission super easy. So all of a sudden, it's like a guild like mine's going to be doing 50-50 out of shards. Like those mid 200 guilds are going to be hitting the 40 shards, 35 shards as they're getting these guys coming up here. Like, I mean, we're going to see a huge surge in Cam shards across the board when these guys hit. And that's just what I'm seeing in the kit. I could be totally wrong, but I'm super excited for these characters because of how strong the kits are. And they're not stupid complicated. They're just basic kits, good synergy, lots of cool little ways of saving the characters.
There's lots of moving parts.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call them complicated, but they're really, it kind of this is a really big stretch, but it reminds me of a little bit of the Jedi Knight Revan team, because you have like one character that does this one thing that another team did. Like Jolie brought in revives, which before this were kind of an NS thing, and now we have Tech coming in, and he's bringing in translation and target lock, and they're doing all these things with stealth for true damage. Like, it seems like they're taking a lot of good elements that have been released into the game over the last couple of years, and they're putting them all into one squad. And I think there'll be a lot of potential. And I think, again, we need to see the last kit.
Yeah.
Or the 2 last kits. But I think they will not be worse than the 501st and the Shock mission. Because what you're saying with the stealth and Wrecker being alone, what's that going to do? That's going to leave him one specific target that is going to be able to always have less trample than Django, because he's going to be the only one that can get hit, and the other ones are going to be able to be shielded from trample, so you can just cleanse them and just wreak havoc. I think
exactly.
I don't know if it's just going to be an audible thing, but I do think it's going to be easier than the 501st currently are, because there are lots of things in their kits that are just honestly thrown out the window.
Yeah. I mean, and specifically, there's because of how old the kits are, even though they were updated and stuff, like they don't have the best health. Like Rex has zero health steal, 0%. Like he cannot.
0 health steal and 0 health in general.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of the lowest health pools in the game. 0 health steal, and he's in a thing where his protection can't matter. So it's like even if you stack health on him, like the best you're getting is like 70,000-80,000 on like a Relic 7 Rex,
which is like just enough so that you don't get one shot by Django's rocket. Like that's
basically
the best that you get. That happened to me. That happened to me a few weeks ago. Or a few months ago.
Yeah,
but no, yeah, they have so many TM mechanics.
Yeah.
Like Shock, TM mechanics. 5s, yeah, TM mechanics. Rex, TM mechanics. Trample doesn't care. Like,
yeah. No more TM for you. And it's weird. It's weird how it's almost weird that they've left it this long. When you really think about it, this Cam mission's been out for what, 18 months, 16 months. I do not know that number, but that sounds right. That sounds right. And it's like, who has 7-star cams now? Elite guilds. That's it. It's the only one.
I checked a while ago, and I think we're at about like 1,200 or something like that. So if you want to, like members, not guilds.
Yeah.
So I can't do the math right now for that, but that's like, I don't know, 25 or something like that, 30 maybe. It's the very top guilds.
And it's pretty crazy. Like, so most of my guild now have 7-star cam, but because I'm a late joiner, I'm months away, and I'm just looking at them like, man, it's so crazy. Like, we're still like, everybody in the guild, literally everybody in my guild has clones that can get cam shards, but we literally usually get like 40 to 44 or something like that. There's always fails, and it's not because we don't have all the thresholds hit or whatever. There's just wonky RNG. We stream every single one. We've got guys that can literally pull magic out of their asses when a run's going wrong, and you can get a shard out of nowhere. Like we've got everything set up to get 50 out of 50, and we don't, because there's RNG built into this mission because of how bad the 501st match up to this particular mission.
Yeah, the specific mechanics. Yeah. And I haven't heard of a guild that has gone 50 out of 50 yet. I know one guild that they managed 48 out of 50. But again, like, there is a certain amount of RNG to that. I don't like to blame RNG for a lot, but I think what you said for your guild is pretty accurate. Like, there's you should, if you're doing everything right, 9 times out of 10 you should win.
Yeah.
Which is what your guild was doing.
Yeah, and it's crazy because the way things work in this game, right, is nothing stays like that for too long because of how the power has to move and everything. I think
we see that with Heroic Sith Raid, with Arena, everything. Yeah. Everything eventually just gets pushed out.
Exactly. And so for this long, Bad Batch, like, I got my bat signal started going, getting all tingly, my spidey senses or whatever, because I immediately was like, this is it. This is what is going to be the lead-in for a Relic 8 cam being in the next Galactic Legend requirements. This is gonna drop. Once the dark side's always easier to get. Kylo is easier. C was the easiest of all of them. The next dark side Galactic Legend is going to be easy to get, and then the next light side Galactic Legend is going to be an absolute nightmare. He's going to have that high. He's going to have like Relic 8 cam. You're going to have a bunch of other stuff if we throw it out there.
Miss window.
Yeah, maybe. It could be
like something that no one's going to have.
It could be, well, except for Ram Bam. But
there's one.
There's always one. But I actually heard the other day that there is no Relic 8 Fox, First Order Executioner, no Relic 8 Fox. So just anybody looking for glory, I'm just going to throw it out there.
It's kind of sad, actually. Like,
because he's actually a good character.
No. And this is, again, we're a completely different conversation.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at R8s, after you get past like the obvious choices like the GLs and gas and whatnot, you want to look for like who's going to deal the damage on your team. Like, I see a lot of people taking Dark Trooper up to R8, and that's a totally valid choice. Like, he does so much damage.
He's obscene.
So like, Fox isn't obvious. I'm not going to sit here and argue that Fox is the best character, but he's not a bad one.
Yeah,
not a bad one.
Well, you know what the crazy thing is? His damage scales off his health, and what pumps health up more than relics? Like, if you've got a Relic 8 Fox that's health modded, I mean, think about what kind of damage that guy can pull out. That's going to be ridiculous. Like, I mean, one of the big problems with that old school First Order team, it's not any of the mechanics. I think it synergizes really well. It has some great mechanics going on. Is that it doesn't kill stuff. It just doesn't kill things fast enough because Fox has to ramp up.
It doesn't.
And then once he ramps up, it's lights out. But I wonder now, I'm like, because Crew's one of the best tanks in the game still. Like,
definitely is. I mean, he's immune to like anything max health, and he taunts.
Pre-taunts, and he stuns, and he puts tenacity down.
2-turn, cannot be unresisted. I love Crew. I do really, really love Crew.
I mean, he's just a fantastic character. OG Kylo, underrated with the TM gain, and he does those massive hits, and he's also immune to health stuff, so he's great against dots and the thermals and everything. Like, I didn't even think about it. I faced off against somebody in 3v3 last week who had Relic Jawas, and he put him on defense, and I was just laughing. I'm like, I don't even know what to use here. And
perfect.
I know, right? And so luckily, Mopils was in my chat, and he's just like, just fucking run OG Kylo at him. And I'm like, really? That'll work? And he goes, yeah, he's immune to the thermals. I was like, I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Like, they kick him up so much. Like, when you get those thermals or dots, he starts really ramping up speed. He'll get up to something. It just depends on what you're going. He's like 400 speed. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty crazy. But
it's so cool.
Like, when you look at that, the mechanics of that First Order team are really cool. I really liked that team when I first started. That was something I actually went and tried to get early. I didn't put a ton of gear into them because even at like G11, G10, back when I was in like Division 8, Division 7, I just threw them on defense, and a lot of people just didn't have a solution for them. And that was the funniest part about them. I'm like, they're poorly geared. They've got one Zeta. It's sort of like what I did with my bounty hunters. It took one Zeta to make them require something decent to beat them, right? I just put a boss lead with one Zeta, leave it there. They're all like G11, and people would drop on them because they just wouldn't have a team that can kill them because they only had 3 good teams back then.
No, yeah, and I've always, again, we're going flashbacks here, but I really loved them on offense because of the amount of protection recovery they would get was really, really high under crew lead. I would punch up against like gear 12 car teams with my gear 11 first order. And it was a good feeling, like, you were higher than gear, I beat you, and I got 60 banners.
Yeah, that's the best part. Like, when you rolled first order at somebody, you almost always got, like, good banners just because of all the recovery. And if you brought first order officer, you're just pumping all that extra, like, the advantage stuff, getting all those buffs out, and once again, just getting more heals, basically just coming across the board, which was just a lot of fun. So it's funny, like, looking back at some of those teams because GAC's been such a shift, right? Like, for me, because I grew pretty fast, right? And so I watched like every division and the little differences. Like every division, it got a little bit wonky. So like right before we started recording, we're talking about it now, where it's like now that I'm in Division 1, my approach for the longest time has been set a defense that can't be cleared and then do my best to clear, and it worked almost every time. Like it was I had a pretty ridiculous rate, like 95-ish% or something win rate going up. And so, like, I've been in Division 1, and it's been working, but it gets harder and harder as my top 80 grows. So now I'm like you were talking about banners. So now I've been hitting big banners lately because I kind of have to. Because I'm still leaving a defense that sometimes isn't being cleared, but I'm, like, almost sure they're going to clear me. So I need to go and hit them hard, get crazy banners as best as I can. So I always attack pretty heavy, but it's like balanced. So I set defenses that steal lots of banners and sometimes get holds, and then I'm attacking with a lot of stronger stuff and trying to get those good banners. And it's strange because I don't know if you're seeing the same thing where you are at 1.9, but like everybody I can go up against potentially can clear any board that I set. So
potentially is a very interesting word. Like, do they have the roster and mods to do it? Sure. Do they know how to do it?
Well, that's a different story. Honestly,
like, I don't want to trash talk these. Okay, so I went to Chromium this last month, and those guys, they could do it.
Yeah.
All 3 of them, that they have the know-how, but I don't want to trash talk them. But like this last week, dude, like I was looking at this guy's roster, I was scouting them, and I was like, okay, can I set down SLKR in 3v3? What are the teams he has that can beat it? A, he has Ray, okay? Yeah. And he always sits it on defense, so I don't really need to worry about that. But I went and looked at his gas, dude, and his gas was perfectly modded for the SLKR cheese.
Yeah.
Really high offense, pretty fast, like no protection. Went and looked at his 5s, was all lined up with defense from front to bottom, had a good amount of protection too. He had a Relic Chewbacca. So I'm like, okay, so if I put SLKR down, he can beat him. But I was kind of going with your type of mentality of like, okay, he's going to beat this, but I'm just going to get him for higher banners. Dude, he couldn't beat it. Like, and I was looking through his history, and what does he do? He throws gas, 501st at first. He throws CLS, Han, and Chewie at it next. Loses both times, and then gives up. Like, so
yeah,
potentially beat me, but I don't know. This last week was a little sad in that respect.
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird one when that happens, because I can definitely say as I get to be a better player, as my knowledge and experience has grown, and I've been facing harder TWs, and with all the streaming and everything, I'm watching more and more people play, and so I get a lot more sample size really quickly when we're doing certain counters, and so like I've noticed now that when I look at my opponents, I see them through those eyes a little bit too much, and I give them the credit that they'll be able to do what I can do with it. And so and it's really funny. Like, I'll see somebody with a great history and like some really good experience, and they're coming from a good guild, and they've got good experience in that guild, and I'm going like, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to stop him. So now it's a banner war. So how can I pull his pants down without him knowing that it's happening? Like that kind of thing. And then I go and I look at their attacks, and it's just like they're just not there. They just didn't, like, the way I looked at how they would attack my board. It wasn't how they attacked it, and it didn't go the way they wanted it to. And then like I've had a couple of those where I literally gave my opponent so much credit because I was like, this is how I would do it. This is how he beats me. I can't see it any other way. And then they go and they just fail. And I say it to some of my people in my Discord sometimes, like, never underestimate the incompetence of your opponent, because I see some stunning stuff.
Okay, so I have a question for you, and we're talking a little bit about this today because we're moving out of the transition from 3v3 and 5v5, and this is something I need to remember. I always have, I'll see if you have the similarity. I always have a little bit of culture shock coming back into 5v5, because kind of what you were saying about the incompetence of your opponent, I see that a lot more in 3v3 than I do in 5v5. When I get back into 5v5, sometimes I have the mentality, okay, there's no way this guy's going to do this, and then he just completely smashes my defense, and I'm like, oh, he totally just did do it. Like, I feel like the amount of people that are good at 3v3 countering or strategy or whatever is significantly lower than 5v5.
Well, not only that, just people... Here's the thing. Everybody who likes 3v3 is not in the GP that we are or higher. They're just not. Everybody that really likes it. I mean, some people are like, oh, I like the change, or it's something fresh, you know, like that kind of thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that flat out like to sit down and go, this is how I'm going to break up my roster into threes. This is how I'm going to set this, try to trip him up and see. Because 3v3, it requires a lot more brain space.
It requires a lot more thought, because it's a unique game mode. It's not something you can compare to Territory Wars or something of the like.
Exactly. So here's the thing. The same guy that I was talking about earlier, where I gave him a ton of credit and he should have been able to smack me, and he didn't do it. Like, well, I said at the end of my stream, I was like, people were going, no, trust your defense, trust your defense. I'm like, if this guy loses, he deserves it. Like, because I gave it to him. I opened up the door, I handed him the key, and I said, like, you know, lock me out if you want. It's up to you, man. I've done what I can do. And then when he failed, I was just like, I was stunned. I was like, I don't even understand how this happened. Like I had a bad drop, and I did really well on banners, but I had a bad drop, and I knew exactly what I said on defense, and I knew exactly what he had on offense, and I couldn't see myself escaping with a win, and then it happened. I was like yeah.
And like I said, it's exactly that. So, like, a lot of people,
but I think if that, here's the thing though.
Space, like, people they don't go, even if they have the tools in 3v3, they don't put the effort in to do it. Like you said, that player, in that sense, he deserved the lose, because despite you dropping a battle and him having everything he needed, he didn't pull it off.
Yeah, so here's the thing. That exact same player in that exact same scenario, 5v5, I promise you I would have lost. Because, like I said, he just is too good of a player from too good of a guild with too many resources and too much experience to fuck that one up. It just, in 3v3, that happened. Because it's 3v3, because a lot of people don't care. Like,
there's also that.
Yeah, like a lot of people just don't have a care. They're like, fuck it, I got Kyber. Like, whatever, you know. I'll just try this. This will work. You know, there's that approach to 3v3 that doesn't exist in 5v5. Like 5v5, it's really funny. Like, I notice it specifically in my guild when we start talking in the GAC thread or whatever. When 5v5 starts coming around, like, people are talking, like, you know, doing bets on who's going to do better for the round. We've got bets for the overall month. Everybody's kind of talking smack to each other about who's going to finish higher in the guild ranking and stuff like that. And it's a very interesting mood. And then 3v3 rolls around and people are like, I don't even think I'm going to sign up this time. And these are the same guys.
This is when people make the decision to do title farming.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Okay, well, I got trapped in Chromia, or not
Carbonite.
Trapped in Carbonite last time. I'm going to get, I don't know what the name for the other one is.
Armored in Chromium is pretty cool.
Armored and Chromium is pretty cool. I do like that one. You got the point. They go title farming.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a weird one. Because now that CG's throwing 3v3 at us so much, I mean, I find that the response is worse in game. So I don't know if you've noticed this as well. But I mean, I never see as many auto sets as in 5v5 as I do in 3v3. I never see as many no shows on attack as I do in 3v3 and 5v5. I just don't see it. Like, whereas 5v5, it seems like everybody as a whole gets a lot more into it because it's something that they're, I guess, familiar with, or they're not. You know, it's it's kind of like sliding on that old pair of jeans that fit you just right. Like that's, and 3v3 are like the tight ones that you probably shouldn't have bought, but you bought anyway, and you kind of want to wear them, but you put them on, you're like, these are like awkward, and
no, but you need to because it goes with the rest of your outfit. So
yeah,
like, okay, I'll just do this to get it over with.
Yeah, basically, yeah. but it's so strange, and I mean, I really hope that CG can look at the numbers and see that there's not as much engagement in GAC in 3v3 as there is in 5v5, and maybe don't give us every other month 3v3. That'd be nice.
I would be very interested to see the numbers because I do agree. I do believe that the 3v3 numbers are lower than 5v5. Like that's I don't think that's the point you can argue. But with that being said, one thing you've noticed, and you said this just now, or one thing I've noticed, is that it seems like people get really excited for 5v5 now. This is really random. There was an expression we used to say at a gym that I used to go to. Was called eating bitter. Like you don't know what's bitter or you don't know what's sweet until you eat what's bitter. So I wonder if they're getting more participation in GSC as a whole or more participation in 5v5 because of the negative reaction that 3v3 brings. Because it comes off as a relief now rather than just normal.
Yeah, that could be it. There could be a lot more. I mean, I do absolutely see excitement. When the last week of 3v3 rolled, just look at the GA Center, right? When people write up their write-ups for the week, the last week.
It was full of it today.
Yeah,
5v5, here we come.
Exactly, the last week, it's all about 5v5's coming up, whatever, last week of 3v, like it's one of those, like everybody's like, thank God this is over, give us 5v5. So... I mean, you might be onto something there. Like maybe the 3v3 numbers are a little bit down. Like say the 3v3 numbers are here and the 5v5 numbers right afterwards are here. But when it was 5v5 all the time, maybe the numbers were there. You know what I mean? So maybe they're getting a lot more engagement in 5v5 and 3v3 is getting, is only a little bit of a dip comparatively to when it was stagnant. I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, I bring it up
we would have to actually look at the numbers, but it's just wild guess. If it stays around, it might be because of that, or I don't know.
Like I said, it could very well just because everybody I know gets very, very up when 3v3 is ending. Like it's all, they're like, yes. It's one of those like, thank fuck, I got Kyber, I don't have to do this. I'm just going to auto set my last two 3v3s or whatever. Like you hear stuff like that, but you never hear that in 5v5.
Oh no, I hated that. I absolutely hated that. I'm like, dude, we're in week 4 of Rhodium, which is, like these are all the people that are going to make Kyber. And he knew that he could make Kyber by auto-setting the last 3. So he just did it. I'm like, oh. I planned a defense for you, and you did this to me. Super salty.
Oh, that was the thing, man. That last opponent I had, oh my God, he absolutely caught me out. Like I did not expect him to stack all of his GLs in the bottom front like that. Oh man, that was an interesting one. That was a great stream. I mean, I don't think I've ever been more drunk on stream, but like that attack was intense. And
to be able to take that down, especially like you said, you've gone a little bit heavier on offense, but still 3 GLs. Yeah. That's just gross.
Well, it's funny because I literally before I set my defense, I was looking at how he likes to do it. I'm like, he likes to set generally 2 GLs and attack with 1. I'm like, I can really fade him doing a slacker solo on something if I take all 3. And I was just thinking about it. I'm like, but then again, if he just watched the Gambit podcast and he was coming out of ANZGC and one of their higher guilds, and so I'm like, fairly sure this guy knows who I am. I mean, I put the, I know he knows Heinze. I know he's in that server or whatever. So it's like, there's a good chance he might have seen me on Gambit. There's a good chance he might have seen me attack with all 3 GLs. I'm like, I think I'm going to set one. Just a little peekaboo slacker for him. Just make sure that it's, just keeps him honest. So I did the Darth Revan up front. This guy had a sick Vader, so I expected him to attempt to Vader my DR, but if he didn't check speeds, my Bastila was faster than his Vader, so he would have had some issues. That could have gone really wrong. So it was one of those, like,
it becomes really complicated if he gets the fear instead of the debuffs.
Exactly. So I was like, I'm gonna give him the hard choice here. So I set slacker. I set my slacker in the back, set my DR up front, and then he never attacked. I was like, come on. like all that. I just
really coming out of the win on that one was such a huge win. That was awesome. That was really great for you for completely branch here. But you won the Trevor Boys tournament, yeah?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I think you did, and one of the things that counts for that tournament is how many zones you have standing. So you ended
with all 4.
The very, very the hardest opponent that should have been of your entire GAC. You ended that match with 4 zones standing. So
yeah, which is pretty crazy.
Positive, I guess.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, but I'm pretty close to that. I think the Trevor Boys tournament. I think it was me versus Ray Rock at the for the last one. I mean, Ray Rock usually does pretty well, but he attacks like at the with 10 minutes to go or something. So every time. Yeah. 1 second. So with the shift to 5v5, and I know you're kind of more in a horde mode. Is there anything you're actually working on at the moment, or are you just hoarding and keeping it together?
I'm still hoarding, keeping it together. There are a few things that I'm looking at remodding right now. They're different from the change from 3v3. Like, one of the things that I went and did, I just went and tried to reevaluate some of my teams, and I'm like, okay, this is like a B squad. It doesn't need my great mods. And one of the things that I was able to do with that, I was able to punch up Gideon's speed. I think I got him to, this is going to be really low because there are people like 375, but I got him up to like a 330 right now.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for that. Like, I should be able to kill something really. That's before the Veers.
Yeah.
So he should be 350 after he's. I'm excited to what I'll be able to kill with that. I'm trying to think if there was anything specific that I went and remodded as well. I think there was. I'm really trying to 60 all my arrows right now.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with 5v5. Well, it kind of does, I guess.
Just adding a little speed.
Ones. Exactly. All the speed on specifically crit avoidance and speed. Like, if I have a character that is relict and that has a speed set on it, I'm really kind of hurting myself by not 16 the speed mod. And I realized I had quite a few like that. Like Rex is like that. Not necessarily Darth Revan or someone like that, but some of those like still pretty important ones.
Yeah, I that was part of my thing. It's like I've got a ton of 6E mods, and that was something I actively went and did. Is every time I had a speed character where the speed was really paramount to their kit, I always went and 6E'd their arrow, made sure that was down as part of that. The things I pay attention to the most are like crosses and triangles and that kind of thing, and anything the health primary circles.
That was my first priority. That's what I did before anything. I was like, if they can use the health on it, I'm doing that because it's just such a big jump. It's 3 times the original amount.
I mean, it's pretty much it's one of the best investments with your 6E mats that you can do for a character is taking that health premium circles up to 6E, and that goes with health premium crosses and triangles as well, and arrows for that matter. But I think those ones are really, really big boosts. Another thing I tried to do after that is hit a bunch of the offense squares for the characters that are going to be doing the damage on the teams, try to get those. And so I've been trying to do it in stages. 6Es are something I pay particular attention to. Like, I mean, I know you've got pretty sick mods too, and it's like 6E mods I find are one of the best ways to get an advantage on your opponent overall. If you're hitting all your best mods with 6E, and getting all those extra bonuses, basically.
No, I do think so too, because the way the game is engineered right now is that we're getting a pretty healthy amount of them in. So what people have kind of done is they've just kind of gone on autopilot with it. Like, okay, so every GAC I go 2 out of 3, and I get one there. Every GC that happens, GC that happens, I get like half one. Every conquest that gets one, I get one. And they've kind of gone on autopilot. So these people who are going like us that are actively going out of our way and dropping crystals or farming these, I have seen a pretty good advantage. Like I'll pull up a spreadsheet and it'll tell me like the 60 mods between me and all my opponents, and I'll be up like 50 on them. Yeah, it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Yeah, one thing I've definitely noticed is you really find it when you hit those secondary, tertiary teams. I mean, they just can't really do what they were meant to do when you're all 6'd up and they're not. And there's a lot of damage that's coming out there. That's a lot of extra health and protection, extra speed, extra potency and tenacity, and all this stuff that comes in on those secondaries. I mean, and you can get some pretty disgusting secondaries too, like if they just hit right. and it's, I don't know, it's pretty interesting, man. Modding is such an important part of the game, such an overlooked part of the game as well. Like I said, a lot of people just like they just go on autopilot with their mods. They're like, oh, this guy does damage, let's put offense on him, not knowing that, like, you know, specifically other things will help their kit and whatnot. You know, like just slamming, you know, speed on Watt, not trying to get his potency up for any kind of counters where you need those dots to land, like if you're taking Vader at Rey or something like that, or, you know, stuff like that. The little things that need to be kind of paid attention to that a lot of people overlook.
No, that makes a huge difference. Like I had an opponent, I think this is well over a month ago, because this is on 5v5. We chatted a little bit after, and he's like, hey, what can I do better for my roster? And I asked him the same thing, and I told him, dude, like your speed, the speed on your mods is great. Like he had lots of plus 15s in the right places, but all of his primaries were all out of whack. Like I didn't have to pay attention to a lot of stuff because his Sith Empire Trooper, for example, it had an offense set with good speeds. But I wanted to look at the primaries, and dude, they were like defense. Yeah. Like on his cross and on his triangle, I'm like, you're really hurting your lobster there by not having as much offense as possible. And that's one example, but that was like his whole roster. Like he knew that speed was important, but he wasn't able to apply other smart decisions to all the primaries and secondaries, and it really left his roster a little lackluster because of that.
Yeah, and there's a lot to that. That's one of the things that I pointed out to a lot of people. So we all know Mothma is like it's an interesting team. Like it's both a good team and a bad team. It is Schrodinger's good team, basically, because it's like a good team and a bad team at the exact same time. It's a great team if they take something that's not suited for it, and it's a terrible team if they take something that's suited for it, if you're putting on defense, and vice versa on offense. So somebody was talking in a similar GP level I was talking to, was saying that their Mothma never gets holds, they don't like setting it and all that, and I'm like, well, it's not the best team to set, it depends on what they're using. And he was saying they were using like bad teams, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on with your modding? And so like he had a Hoth Rebel Scout, and it was G12. I was like, number one, that's like the easiest G12 to get, so maybe throw a little bit of investment, get it up to relic, get it that little extra speed, then you slam speed and crit chance on it. And they're like, why? Like, well, okay, number one is the third fastest. Why? Yeah, like, why the crit chance? And I'm like, okay, it's the third fastest Rebel Fighter base speed, right? So Jyn Erso's faster, Kara has like 2 speed on him, you know, that kind of thing. And then it's like, his first move is going to be his special. So if he crits on his special, he immediately takes another turn. And that's going to be a basic, call everybody in, and then he can potentially give everybody turn meter. So you're going to get 2...
Yep, it's all based off his basic, and you just keep going and going and going.
So I'm like, you slam speed on him and crit chance, so you get that crit to open up the battle, and then you all take a turn, and somebody's getting turn meter. And that's going to push them up, and then they're going to go, and then they're going to call him, and somebody's going to get some turn meter. You know, it's like that's how it gets out of hold. You know, like, I actually got a hold against a Jedi Revan with my Mothma team. And
oh my gosh. In 5v5 or 3v3?
In 5v5. The guy tried to underman it. He didn't take in Jolie thinking he was good, and he got deleted because he must have not marked Hoth Rebel Scout and got smoked. It was just because it was like, once we took a turn, bye-bye Yoda. Yeah, bye-bye Yoda, bye-bye Yoda. It's like, we're going through you.
No, yeah, that was definitely something that I saw for a while, and I think you said it best. Like, the Mon Mothma was a good team and a bad team at the same time, because it's mod dependent. It's very comp dependent.
Yeah, very comp dependent.
Some people talk about, they're like, Mon Mothma's trash. I'm like, okay, what comp are you? I'm like, oh, Captain Han, Lando, and Wiggs, because that's what I got from Jedi Master Luke. And I'm like, that's
a terrible team. Yeah,
it's a really, really bad squad. Like, there are Mon Mothma squads that'll go toe-to-toe with General Grievous and beat it for good banners. And
yeah.
Like, that's going to get beat by a solo Ness. That's not good.
Yeah, so actually that's one of the things I was working on. So 2 of the things I wanted to get done once I finished C to kind of move my account forward is I wanted to get a Relic Pistons U-Wing, and while I was getting those guys relicked, the first thing I wanted to do is to make my Mothma team a lot more useful on both offense and defense. So now I'm going to try to get it before next lock-in, but I'm going to try to get Kara up to Relic 2. So I'll be running Kara, Hoth Rebel Scout, Biston, and SRP. So we've got two revivable tanks that will revive themselves. You've got the turn meter coming from Hot Rebel Scout, and you've got all the TM ripping from Biston. So it's like, it's one of those ones where now we've got a lot of manipulation on turn meter there. Kara also rips turn meter, so if somebody tries to nest that, they're going to time out. Number one, somebody tries to Jawas that, you're not going to get those tanks out of there because the tanks are going to revive. So it's like, it's one of those interesting ones where I'm like, this now stops some of those cheap counters, and now they're going to
you cheese proof it.
Yeah, exactly. So if I do set it,
people run that comp so that people fall for that.
Oh, for sure.
People look at like, okay, like I always use Jawas or Nest or whatever against Mothma. This SRP is not a good character. I'll be fine. And then they go in and he just never dies.
Yeah. It's like it's crazy how annoying he is, and it's funny because when I was thinking about getting Biston's U-Wing way back, because that's been on my list for a long time. That's been on my list before I even got Jedi Master Luke. That was like, I need to get this ship. I want my rebels to be able to do something, you know. And I mean, I got to use it against one of those new Empire fleets with like a Relic 8 Vader and, you know, Relic 7, you know, Sith Bomber and the TIE Bomber in the starting lineup. My rebels just went and deleted it. Took, you know, super easy. You know, it was one of those. I was like, this is what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that this team could actually do something for me in GAC. This is perfect. You know, but.
Well, no, it really moves its way into the meta. Like, obviously, Negotiator's still king, but Akbar, I think Akbar sits right behind it together with Malevolence.
It can kill everything.
Yes, if you can get
the assist
up there. Like, that is key. Like, if you can move first, you will wreck. If not, you get wrecked.
They're kind of like the ship version of Troopers, when you really think about it.
Yeah. No, they are, because they're really all DPS. They do have a little bit. They do have a good amount of survivability.
In terms of their recovery, like a Jedi Revan team does, they do. But as we saw with Solo, did you see Solo against the? Oh my God!
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that. I've never seen anything like that before, where his whole team got one shot on an AOE from Rey's Millennium Falcon. I was like, holy shit!
No, yeah. Well, sorry, 1 second here with the camera.
Yeah. 1 sec.
Well, 1 second. Sorry, I have a family member that is currently outside of the house that needs to get in, but I should be able to let them in and be right back. Sorry, I apologize, Yeti.
No worries.
I'll be right back.
Yep, no worries. It's like I'll continue on the point for everybody that's in here. Yeah, so it was a really fun thing. So I got these characters up, and one of the things that made me want to get these characters up more than just the ship was I realized the SRP and Biston are really good under Mothma. Really, really good. Are they the ideal set? I don't know. But they do have a lot more usability than a lot of other characters. Obviously, you know, guys like K2SO and Cassian do great work with him, with Mon Mothma teams. And then there's a couple of other characters that really are great in there as well, like Pow. I'm not the biggest fan of Pow. I think Pow's Frenzy and everything is a great mechanic, and it helps the Mothma team do its thing in Lightside Geo. But I think in PvP, man, I'm pretty sure that that SRP and Biston going in there with Kara are going to be really change that team, really make it a lot more difficult. It's going to be like a Padme plus or a Traya plus kind of thing. You know, in terms of what they're going to use to kill it, or they'll just trooper it. I mean, that also is very viable. But if they're using their troopers on Mothma, that's probably good, because then they're not troopering something that's better value. Do you know what I mean? So, and troopers right now, they're in a state where they kind of wreck everything. So I'm not super worried if they go and spend their Mothma there. So that should be a good win for me. And when Calvin comes back, we'll see what he's got to say on the subject. But in terms of,
I believe I am back now. Can you hear me, Yeti?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. So basically, what I was just following up was, I was like, one of the things I like about getting those two pilots for the fleet was that they're so good under Mothma because of the mechanics. Like, Biston low key has great mechanics. So even if I had Pow and I had him Relict and I had him Zeta, I'd probably run Kara, Biston, Pow, and HRS. You know, that
is the comp that I think is it Wink with the Shadow Order podcast?
I'm not sure.
I believe it is. That's the comp that he loves the most because it's essentially an endless turn meter team.
Yeah, yeah.
If there's nothing to stop the turn meter, you don't stop taking turns. Like I don't run this exact variation. I'm a little bit cheaper. I switch in wigs for Biston, and I don't get that complete cycle. If I don't have the speed advantage, or like not even the speed advantage in the beginning, but even in the middle, like my enemy will get turns in.
Yeah, yeah. So what I was basically trying to do with that is make it so that not only is it a lot better on defense, it's going to require something. I was just saying before you got back in that I'm like, if they trooper that, I'm very happy with that because troopers now can kill almost everything. So if they're spending their troopers on Mothma, that's a win for me. I don't give a shit if they get 60. That's perfect. And if they're
Dark Trooper and Gideon and Piet, they have done stupid things to troopers. Like they are. The people are still working on it, but there are some legitimate GL comps that they will beat, and not just Sith Eternal.
Yeah, yeah. I have seen troopers beat some comps of Supreme Leader Kylo, and it's pretty impressive to watch. I mean, it's not super consistent from what I was hearing from the guy who got it to work, and I watched a couple of his videos where he was showing it off to me, but it works. Like, if they set the wrong comp and that guy's got Dark Trooper and he's got great troopers, I mean, if Kylo doesn't poke the right trooper, it's kind of game over. Like, it's so much for Kylo.
And even then, like, but that just goes back to what you were saying. Like, if they use them on Mothma and they don't want to use them on, let's say, they're good enough for your Darth Revan or your Sith Eternal Emperor or your NS SLKR, then that's a complete win. That's a complete win.
It's like, I'll make that trade. You know, I'm happy to make that trade. And it's a strange one because when I was looking at the comp and how it's set up and how I'm going to run it, I don't see a lot of teams being able to take it down. Really good bounty hunters will be able to do it. But they're going to have to keep ahead of it, which is going to be the hard part. Because once the Mothma team starts,
they've got to be clocked really fast and really well. Which, someone can do, but it's not going to be everyone.
It's like my bounty hunters could take out my Mothma, but most people don't have their bounty hunters modded like I've got mine modded. So it's a weird. Like when I set my bounty hunters on defense, now I guarantee it's going to take they're going to use either Jedi Revan, Darth Revan, or Gas. I mean I've seen Padme go in there and lose characters, so. In my history, I've only seen somebody try to Padme it once, and everybody else uses Darth Revan or Gas, and they lose characters. I've seen Jedi Revan do perfect banners, but usually people save their Jedi Revan for my Grievous. So it's a weird one. Like when I go through my history,
that just goes back to the fact that like your whole defense matters.
Yeah,
like
100%.
One Mon Mothma team isn't gonna break it. It's the fact that you have Mon Mothma, this specific Grievous team, this GL, this and that, and it'll I don't know if you'll get these to sometimes we have like one team standing and I'll have like 5 battles on it with 1 unit left, and you know that you left like the perfect amount of defense.
Exactly. And the craziest thing, it's almost always never my strongest team. It's always
it's not.
It's like one of my medium or one of the honestly my bad Mothma comp that I used to have to run because I didn't have anything else. That used to get me a lot of holds, and it was all because of my HRS being so fast. So it took away so many potential counters that, I mean, obviously a really good nest was going to do it. Like a Relic 7 nest is going to take it down. But like, unless they have like a pretty decent team coming at it, they're going to get in trouble pretty quickly because my Hoth Rebel Scout it's clocked at over 300 speed. So when he gets moving,
gosh, okay.
Yeah. So my Hoth Rebel Scout's at 303. So he gets moving. He takes 2 turns right off the bat as soon as the battle starts. So it can get really bad. Like I see Treyas lose to it, which is hilarious because it was like the bad comp. I'm like, how?
No, I will see that a lot. People, because I don't know if this might be true where you're at, but where I'm at too, Traya is kind of a weird team for my opponents. Like she was good enough for people to take up to Gear 12. But right now, there are bigger priorities for relics than Traya. So a lot of people, they're hanging out with these Gear 12 Trayas, and they'll try to take it against not just mine, but other people's too, like mixed, like relic Mon Mothma teams, and they'll lose just because Gear 12 Trey can't take the DPS that is coming from Mon Mothma, or like all the built-up offense with whether you have Churd or Wedge or Biston or whoever.
Yeah, and it's really kind of funny because for me, getting Treya to Relic, getting all three of them was a priority, just because there's so many times when I don't know exactly what to take against a medium tier team that I just go, I'll just Treya it, like that should work, and it almost always works because the mechanics of that team are just so strong. You can just run in there with three and just take care of it. So one of the things that actually made me really prioritize it was how everybody was starting to have these really crazy Relic first order teams, and I didn't want to utilize a better team on them. And Treya just absolutely wrecks first order. Just the mechanics of the team. It doesn't matter if they've got Lobster. It doesn't matter if they got Hux in there. Like, you just take them.
2-turn stun, cleanse.
Yeah, just cleanse. And the crazy part is because if they're running that premium team with like Lobster, he's going to kill himself really quickly. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they just like all it takes is just getting Fox like controlled and you're fine. Like there's really nothing they can do to you after you get Fox controlled. So it's like you don't even have to worry about Red that much. Larry the Death Lobster, he kills himself. He dies to like a drain from Nihilus. Just from all of his counters.
Once he gets down to like 0 health.
Yeah, and then you kill Fox, and then you're good. Like it's over.
They don't really have anything to do against like Nihilus gets stacking health as the battle goes on. They don't really have a solution for that. Like they don't have a Chewbacca or they don't have exposes or they don't have
exactly.
courage.
Yeah.
Like he eventually just gets to a point where they can't kill him.
Yeah. So even if it gets super ugly, like if they have a crazy one. Nihilus is eventually unkillable, and he just hangs around and deletes your team one by one.
And steals their health and adds it to his own.
Exactly, which is magnificent. So it's one of those. That was actually the team that kind of forced me to really prioritize Treya, because I found myself often just not having any kind of solution for that. I just go, I don't know what I'm going to do against this first order team. I guess I'll have to Padme it, and I hated running Padme at it because it's punching down, it's that punching down.
It is.
And
Padme is a better team.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's no insult to...
And not for good banners either.
Yeah, no, you're going to get like 55, 54, if you're lucky.
You might be like with 56 or something like that, depending on how bad the team is.
Yeah, and if it's...
But yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those feels bads mans kind of there. And then it... Because... That's one thing I do like setting. I love doing the slacker comps with like the Night Sisters and stuff, and then throwing out a premium first order team, because once again, if they don't have a Relic Treya and you've got your bugs and you got a Mothma team and you got the premium first order, like what are they going to use on all those? Because those are all kind of Padme food. So if they don't have troopers and stuff, that was one of those selection issue kind of defenses I can set where I'm like, you're probably going to kill my GL, that's fine. But all this other stuff, how are you going to take down that?
No, yeah, because once you clear the GL out, especially a lot of these, C is kind of this way, Jedi Master Luke is very much this way. I haven't figured it out, and most of my opponents haven't figured it out either, is where's the balance with Jedi Master Luke? Like, how low can you go, and how high do you not need to go with the characters you're taking in? Because what you do to a person when you do this is like you put the SLKR with NS in the front, and like, okay, Jedi Master Luke beats that, but does he beat it with Barriss and Ezra, or does he need gas? Does he need a good character in there? And let's say they overkill, and they get to the back wall, and they no longer have Jedi Master Luke, which is fine, but then they also don't have Jedi Knight Luke, and they also don't have gas, and they also don't have Old Ben, and it really thins out their options really quickly with what they can do at other positions. So again, back to that idea of your whole defense matters.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the things that really bothers me about the new GLs is they pull from all over your roster, and depending on what comp you need, it can get really tasty, like on what you need, what you're trying to do. Like Sith Eternal is a really tough one for me because as I'm approaching 5v5 and now I'm trying to think about how I'm going to use him on offense, because he's downright terrible on defense in 5v5.
Do you use him to solo anything?
In 3v3 I use him solo a fair amount of stuff. For me he was
solo plus Watt.
Solo plus Watt, he can handle pretty much any light side team. there can be some concerns with, believe it or not, premium CLS can cause you some issues if you're not health modded. But, you know, especially if they pop your watt. But you can go in there solo and take them down, because a lot of the times they're going to kill your watt right off the bat. So it's not worth spending the character.
Sad.
But it's like, you've got to be health modded. And a lot of people I find don't mod C very well, or they don't mod him to solo. That's actually unfair. They don't mod him to solo. They mod him for the arena. So in the arena, they're like super fast and they got lots of offense, right? And then maybe 100,000 health. Whereas like I roll mine for solos, so I got him at 175,000 health. And, you know, he's pretty fast, but, you know, he's got pretty decent offense, but he's really there to just stick around and...
Until he gets his ult and just deletes.
Yeah, exactly. Until he throws spaghetti in your face, and then it's all over.
No, you said it's unfair. I don't know if it is. One really consistent thing I've seen with a lot of players, and I've seen this a lot with guildmates, is with the current rock, paper, scissors meta we're kind of dealing with between SLKRC and Jedi Master Luke, a lot of people have gotten really, really lazy with their GL modding.
Yeah.
Like I had an opponent a while ago. This was I felt like a jerk the way I said it to. I probably should have said it to him differently, but I'm like, dude, your Jedi Master Luke mods need to be changed. Like I think the exact words I used were really bad, because he had on a Jedi Master Luke, he had a health set mod where all 5 pings on the 6E mod were on flat protection. So he had 4,000 protection and 0 speed, 0 potency. Like
Jesus,
like it's a pilot mod.
Yeah,
like this is not a good mod.
No, that's a saleable mod. That's not something you even keep. That's like that shouldn't be in your mod inventory anymore.
And like 3 or 4 of his Jedi Master Luke mods were like that, and I was like, you should probably change that. And the way I said it, it's like, oh, it works in arena, so I'm just gonna stick with it. And I'm like, oh, and I see it with C2. Like I'll see people like, oh, I had some tenacity and defense mods that I put on. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it easier, but
yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird one. So like for my GLs, the first thing I noticed is just for overall usability for me, I went speed and health on Slacker, because I tried a bunch of different stuff, and that just gets the most holds, and it does really well in arena. So I'm just like, I got a really fast Slacker, and he's got a lot of health, and that kills everything.
No, yeah, that's exactly what I did. Mine is the exact same way I've got him. It's purely health and speed. I switched out a crit damage triangle recently, actually, because I really liked the secondaries on it. But I would agree, it's the most universal. I think it gives a lot of headaches to some of especially the off meta counters.
I was going to say the off meta counters really can't deal with that. Those are the 2 things with it that really screw it up. I mean, a healthy one, like mine's not stupid healthy. It's like 150, 160,000 health, but it's also got
mine is too.
Yeah, it's got like 180 speed on it, and it's also got 10,000 over 10,000 offense. So it's like it does a lot. It's got the crit damage triangle on it still, just to keep it nice and ticking along, and I noticed that it does really well against the off meta counters in my GAC history. My Jedi Master Luke, though, it's kind of an interesting one. I've gone like mostly heavy on all health sets with potency, lots of emphasis on potency, and obviously protection. So I've got like 95,000 protection, I think 140,000 health, something like that, and like 80% potency or something like that, 80-90%, something like that. And it's one of those where it's like, that's just solely so, when I was really looking at it with those heavy tenacity huxes, like I've got 180% tenacity hux with like 306
his
speed.
base is also just
it's
really,
ridiculously
really high.
Ridiculously high.
Like it's like 180 is impressive, but it's something that like any more or less anyone could do. Could make happen.
Yeah, so I was like, when I see because there's a couple of guys in the arena that have that, so when I like roll my Jedi at it, I just start with the increased cooldowns on him, get that tenacity down and the days on him, and then send somebody at him and go say hello, and then it's just like the next turn with JML, I throw out the F-Lux, and everything runs perfectly, there's no problems, it's like a 58 banner win roughly, whereas before I was noticing if I F-Lux off the bat, then, Slacker's going to take a couple of turns, it gets closer to the ult, it becomes more nervy. So I was like, we're just going to do it this way. And it's really funny, like, the way it turned, and was like, Yeah, it's just the tenacity on Hux there, just getting that ability block. Just shuts down the character like pretty much full stop in his usability in the team against the Jedi anyway. But yeah, and it's funny.
Yeah, it really does, and like all the Jedi comps as well. If you can't ability block him, even with old Ben, who's really high, who can have really high potency. It throws the Jedi Revan Jedi Luke counter kind of out the window.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of those big ones. Just looking at these little things that happen in the kits, which I think are kind of fun, especially how people mod them. Like when you look in your arena, almost everybody you're going to see with their Jedi Master Lukes, they're going to be modding with like, oh, I've got my best speed set on him. There's some protection too, but like he's just stupid fast. Like, well, I mean, yeah, if I run Jedi Knight Revan lead there, then it doesn't really do that much, does it? Because yours goes and removes turn meter, doesn't land any of his debuffs, and then mine goes and removes turn meter. And, it's kind of like it's like, all right, well now
it does nothing on defense.
Yeah, so it's like it's mutually assured destruction there. Like we can't really, and then now it's even easier because when I got C, it was like, all right, now I just put C in there, I link these two guys. And then I hang around for a little bit, and then I throw spaghetti in your face, and that's the end of it. Like,
yeah, because with him going even faster, you're going to be able to strip protection pretty much instantly.
Yeah,
like just instantly off of him. But yeah, that's one of the things that I've seen with the modding for these characters. I think hurts people in GAC or Territory Wars is they're just so used to like your C is going to beat Jedi Master Luke almost no matter what. Like you have to
really fuck up,
really mess up.
Yeah.
To really not do it. And that works for the other counters too. Jedi Master Luke, again, it's for squad arena.
Yeah.
For Jedi Master Luke, GAC, Jedi Luke, if you're using any variation of that squad and losing against SLKR,
like you've done something really wrong. That's like how the mechanics of the teams are met. And so it's one of the things that I was bringing up GL modding is the thing that I keep seeing in GAC, which blows my mind, is they'll have all of their best speed mods on their Galactic Legends. And I'm just sitting there going like, I mean, I get why it works for Slacker, because a lot of people who have off-meta counters for Slacker. But if you're running your JML on offense to try to take out my Slacker, you don't need to run all those speed mods. Yeah, you don't need the
speed in the first place. Like, he pokes, use Efflux, and life continues.
And then you kill his team. And he stands around and tries to get angry, but he dies too fast. It's like, it's a really weird situation. And then you look at, you look at then the rest of their roster, and all of those mods that they've pulled off of all those other teams have made all the other teams just not as good. So it's like,
no, yeah, that's the big thing. Like if some people have like really big banks of mods. We were talking about, I think this Nickel guy before, just like a huge amount of mods.
Yeah.
Like if you're like that and you can spare it, sure, make your Jedi Master Luke 560 speed or whatever. But like what you're saying right now is important. Like don't take your Jedi Master Luke up to 560 if it's going to make your Darth Revan sit at 300 and your Cara Dune at 290 and your Jedi Knight Revan at 280. Like you have to really, sometimes you have to let the kits do more of the work than the mods.
Well, in like our recent Territory Wars, that was actually a big thing. So we've not really retired our bounty hunter counter to Darth Revan, but the way people have been working their mods and how the teams have been laid out and stuff, we've been getting more. We got some drops with bounty hunters and stuff like that. So we, for the most part, our bounty hunters are last resort for Jedi Revan. In this last Territory Wars, their Darth Revans were so slow that we literally we can even run boss lead here, guys, and that's just not going to lose. It's just one of those. It's like the Django lead can lose because if it doesn't go exactly right, you just don't have the survivability to go through their turnover of turns. But with the boss lead, you can live through that turnover and you can just delete the team.
And the ferocity just feeds you instantly. Like if you don't get shock, one of them takes a turn with ferocity and your entire team gets fully healed up.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. So it's like we hadn't experienced that in a while, and it's not like they were a bad guild or anything like that. It was just like the way that they had modded everything. Like their speed mods just weren't on this team, and they set all of their Darth Revans, and they were all pretty slow. And it just became one of those where you're like, all right, guys, we're just gonna boss lead this. and it's crazy because you're sitting there like, which ones can you boss lead? Like we'll be in voice. Which ones can you boss lead? All of them. It's like my boss can grief are faster than all these. I don't know. Give me one. I'll just take one.
I don't know if the guild was like, okay, if your Darth Revan is slower than this, put on evens. Because we'll do that with our guild, but we'll do it the opposite, like offense. Like, okay, if your Darth Revan is above 330 or whatever, set it. So I don't know.
Oh, just lost you. Ruh-roh. We just lost him. Let me see if I can't get him back here. Oops. 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 I think we might be... That might just be the end of it. Unfortunate. Let's see if we can't get him back here in a second.
Hello?
Yep, there you are. You're back. You're back. All right. All right.
Okay. Legitimately no idea what happened there, but okay.
All right. We got you. And back on screen. There we go. yeah.
Sorry about that. No idea what happened there.
It's kind of an interesting one. So like up where I am now, it's everybody sets all, like pretty much everybody sets all of their Darth Revans. So you see you see 50 every time. So there's always a bunch of that, but usually the modding, I mean, people are getting kind of interesting with the mods. They're trying a lot of different stuff to see if it can hold against, because one of the big counters up here on Darth Revan is Vader, because it's so flawless and you can get 20 banners like constantly. So a lot of people are trying to figure out what's a good counter for Vader and stuff. And then there's, some guilds will run gas at the Darth Revans, which I think is a huge problem, because it drops one banner every single battle. You might clear them all, but you've lost 50 banners doing it, which is rough. And you've taken your
depending on how the war goes, it definitely can be. And gas is, it's not the best trade. Like if you're already guaranteeing yourself banners down, it's not the best trade.
Yeah. So it's one of those weird ones, because then you can't really split up your Jedi as well, as because usually like gas can carry a team and Jedi Knight Luke can carry a team. So it's like, how do you want to split them up? Because that Jedi Knight Luke, Jedi Knight Revan counter is fantastic for dropping slackers if they're modded certain ways and whatnot. So then you can run JML with gas on like a Rey or something. There's a lot you can do, flexibility with Jedi. So if you're using your gas,
Jedi Luke with gas is a really fun team too.
Oh, yeah.
Even if the rest of the squad is like junk, I love that squad. Like everybody's job, you call General Skywalker hit and you call it a day. And it just wrecks everyone.
Yeah, it's like you have one purpose, that is to make sure General Skywalker hits Rey as much as possible. and
then you finally get around to the turn, she's like 1 health.
Yeah. Then it's like a basic from Shock T kills her, and you're just like, you're like, yes. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I do enjoy that combo a lot.
Yeah, swinging back to the GAC though, you're excited for the 5v5 to be back though?
I am. I'm particularly excited about this is a weird thing to say, but I'm excited about the feats that we have coming up in the next 5v5. This last 3v3 one, I'm okay with the reruns, but they are significantly harder to get. For example, I think it was this time. No, it was the last time. We had the Finn Resistance Trooper Poe team.
Yeah.
Like that team was hard to get a win with the last time. This time there's been enough like general power creep in the game. Like my opponent, I have to drop a battle.
Yeah.
Like I have to time out a battle and then kill the last standing unit to get that one. And this last season it happened so much. It was such a headache. Between you have to use troopers. Oh, but not the good ones.
Yeah.
Also no lead.
Yeah, no
Have
leads.
Fun.
Yeah, like.
So, yeah.
I'm with you on that. The feats are really troubling. So in the last couple of GACs, because I've did the last 2 seasons without a loss, and so I've been hanging around that top 50 area, top 50, top 100, like for most of the last 2 seasons. So I've been paying a lot more attention to those feats, and like both of these last 2 seasons, there were some where I'm just like, against anybody I'm ever gonna fight, I can't do those. Like I just can't.
Not without dropping a battle.
Yeah, the only way to do it is to cheese it. That's it. And it's like, against most people I'm up against, I can't really do that. Especially
if you stream at night, yeah.
Yeah, so I stream early, so I can't give them that win, an easy one like that. So unless if I was up against like the guy that I faced on Gambit or whatever, like I knew I didn't have to set anything super strong. It was just whatever I was going to set on defense was going to stop him, and it did. So I could go and I just shot the moon on the banners on him. But that guy, I could have probably done it, but I would have had to drop a battle to do it still, which is just like, I'm not going to drop a battle against this guy. Come on. Like, you know.
I would only be able to do it, and I have done it, if I've already seen the opponent score. Like, if I already know, like, I'm not going to lose 2,000 banners in a win to do it, then yeah. But if you stream at 9, I think fairly early too, so like you...
On Wednesday, Fridays,
You almost never have that luxury.
Yeah,
So, that being said, I'm looking forward to 5v5, because the only feat this entire match this entire month that is going to happen that requires all 5 members is actually a pretty interesting squad. You have to use all 501st with no gas. So you can use like a Rex lead with 5s, Echo, Arc, and Ahsoka, which isn't exactly a premier squad by any standards, but it's something that can kill something.
Well, yeah, and not only that, you know, you can probably run a Padme trio at a lot of stuff too, so you're not stealing a lot with your Ahsoka, or you can run Shock T with Padme or something like that and get 2 good teams out of it, because clones are a good team. They do a lot of good stuff like that.
And you can just throw all the rest of the Jedi to serve your Jedi Knight Luke and Jedi Master Luke, like Anakin, General Kenobi, and Gas. Like they sit fine with Jedi Knight Luke.
Oh yeah, totally. I can kill Slacker with that. I have killed Slacker with that. But
it's a totally valid team.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good Jedi, and there's a lot of really good Jedi leads now. It's one of those factions where I keep looking more and more at this, at kind of like those 3rd tier Jedi, going like, should I start working on some of these guys? Trying to get a 3rd team out of this. I mean, specifically, I do like, I do like the Kenobi lead. I think it's actually Grace, and if you're running it with like Barriss and Ahsoka, like you're gonna get a couple of group hugs out of their heels, and there's a lot of stuff going on with that, and you can run it with Anakin, and then you just need to basically add. You've got taunt clears there. Cam. You've got heals. I know if you've got Cam, then you're in business.
I think that becomes a legitimate squad if you can add Cam in, because that's essentially 2 leader abilities.
Yeah,
you get GKs, and then you get Cam's unique that applies to everyone.
Well, I was going to say, like, Cam and GMY go together just so bloody well. Like, they're just so nasty.
GMY goes with... Like, I made a comment about this in one of my videos recently. Like, GMY goes so well with everyone. Like, if I had 4 GMYs, I could use 4 GMYs.
Oh, yeah.
He's just such a well-designed character.
It's really nuts because he does good damage. He's got tiny health and stuff, but good damage, great base speed.
Yeah, he's super squishy.
Yeah, great base speed. All of his abilities are super good. Like there isn't a single one that's not even great. His lead is actually not even bad. It's just it
just gets outshines by all the other ones.
Like his lead was the best Jedi lead for like a couple of weeks, and then Bastila got released. Yeah. And then it was like, sad. Like I
very short-lived.
Yeah, I remember people talking about that. They're like, they got GMY, they gave him the lead Zeta, and then like a week later, Bastila came out. They're like, oh come on.
No, that was brutal. And that was back when Zetas were a very big deal. Like I don't know about you, but like I'm in a really comfortable spot with Zetas right now between what was the ever since the double assault, not the double assault battles, but the challenge to your assault battles that came out, and we've just been getting handed like 2 free Zetas a month like that. I've been really able to accumulate them.
Yeah.
But no, back what we were talking about Jedi teams, good ones, Cam using gas feats. I had something else I want to say, but it is escaping me now. That's okay.
Well, I was going to say, like, because Padme with clones is also a great team if you run your 5-1st with Padme. So all of a sudden, you've got a great team there as well. And even if you stick it on defense, they still have to use the same stuff to kill it. Like, they can't cheap it.
It'll probably be easier, but it'll have to be the same counter. I remember that in Xerath and Soul Base's match. I'm trying to remember. I think it was CLS. He went to use the premium CLS team against Padme with the clones, and he had to use it because... Even though it's a lesser team, he still had to use something as strong as CLS, and it died really quickly.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like, it's your whole defense that matters.
Yeah, exactly. And that one's going to pull that same counter. So I remember, I think it was Fruit Ninja Mike was talking about it. He goes, I kind of want to run 4 Jedi teams. Now, when he got his Cam, he's like, when you have Cam. He's like, I look at all these leads, and he's like, these are all good. Like, I could do a lot of stuff with all of these. Like, it's like if I split them up right, I think I do that, and I'll just figure out something with Padme, and then and I think he was in chat and we were talking about that. I was like, yeah, Padme with clones is a great team. He's like, yeah, and then I'll take the same counters too. I'm like, yep. Like,
yep. They'll probably work better than they did beforehand. But still, like if you're eating the same team, it's at the end of the day, it's the same difference.
Yeah.
I remember what I was gonna say now about Grandmaster Yoda. He's not only just a great kit, but I just don't, maybe accidentally, I don't know. He just synergizes so well with all the teams. Like Jedi Luke, the whole thing revolves around him taking needing 10 turns to go by, and Jedi Master Luke Grandmaster Yoda, sorry. He is going to filter through 4 turns literally every time he goes. Just such good synergy. Or Jedi Master Luke, when you call to assist, I think it gives 15% turn meter or something like that.
Yeah.
So Grandmaster Yoda is now getting 50% turn meter stacked onto his basic, and you can just get the ult instantly.
Yeah.
Just a really, really good design that I don't know if it was intentional or not, but he synergizes with all of them really well.
Yeah, like I was just thinking about it, because the way I had to split up my Jedi for my last attack, I was like, I had to use JKR with Gas and Thrawn to take out a Rey, and then I was like, now this is going to cause some issues, selection issues, so I had some trouble killing the CLS, but then I was like, when everything was said and done, I was like, I still have Bastila with GMY and Jolie. That's a legit team. Like, that's probably gonna kill any of the best teams left right now. It's just because, like, Yoda's never gonna go anywhere. So, because he's just, here I am, back again. Like, no,
and again, there's the synergy there. Bastila passes the buffs to
and he starts
or Grandmaster, and then he gives it to everyone else. Like, it's just.
It calls him to assist, so he gets turn meter too. If you call him at somebody with the thing, and at the start of the battle, she gives him turn meter. It just starts everything off so well. It's just so crazy how well, like,
he's a really, really good character. Yeah, I really love Grandmaster Yoda.
And then once again, you put him into a Padme team, you make him super fast, and he's building up all that courage. Oh, baby.
Okay, this is probably the least talked about use. I'm so glad you mentioned it, but this is how I use him. Like, this is why I get crap from other people, because I have a 323 speed Grandmaster Yoda, because that's exactly how I use him. I put him in the Padme squad. He goes first. He spreads protection up and foresight. So when Gas comes in to use his big move, he doesn't even hit you.
Yeah.
And then whatever's left, you have the protection up to guide you. It's just a good kit. Just a really good kit. You do lose a lot of the turn meter with Padme. That's a little bad. But at the end of the day, Padme just doesn't have a perfect fifth, unfortunately.
Yeah. I keep feeling like there was something intended to go there that they just didn't release. Because, like I said, it is the perfect foursome. You know what I mean? Like, the four synergize really so well together. And then there's, like, a bunch of characters you can plug into that fifth that don't quite do what you want them to do, but they're not bad. And, like...
They just don't... Yeah, they don't fit it perfectly. Like, 3PO is really great, and then he gets, like, 30 stacks of courage and just sits with it. Like...
Yeah.
He's not the perfect fit. Or Grandmaster Yoda, we mentioned, he doesn't get the turn meter that his kit wants him to get. So there's not really an ideal fit there.
I really like R2-D2 there, if you can spare him. He's just so much fun because, once again, he gets a bunch of courage, and then all of a sudden he just, like, pops somebody with a one-shot. I mean, Shaak Ti's good like that, too, because she's got so many... she's got the support moves. So once again, she just builds up a whole bunch of courage, and then all of a sudden you unleash the basic from hell. And it just...
like, the base damage is like 2,000 or something, and then you have like those, I think it's like the white damage below it that's just like all of your health and protection gone.
25 stacks of courage. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and all those characters are okay, but like you said, none of them really fit the mold like you said before. Like, if we ever had a 4v4 GAC, that Padme would be a premier team. It would still be able... I think it'd have enough synergy to still be able to beat Darth Revan with Malik differently than how it kind of functions in 3v3.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people crap on Ahsoka, and she adds a lot to that team.
She's a good character. There was like I remember a couple of like smart players, good streamers and stuff were talking about how they like to slot in Shaak Ti instead of Ahsoka, but all those extra turns from Ahsoka I think are really great. In any of my counter videos for Padme versus Darth Revan, it's where you're using your abilities and getting your Ahsoka to control the taunts on the board is really important, because you got to get the confuse on early. But in a 4v4 version, it's always going to end up with Malik is going to be the only tank there, because no one's going to run with Sith Empire Trooper and whatnot. So with that, I would take Ahsoka out and drop C-3PO in, and right there you've got Darth Revan pretty snookered, because you're going to be able to get the confuse onto Malik right away, and his taunt's not going to cause you any issues whatsoever as you work through their team. So I think that would be my ideal for running. If it ever did a 4v4, I would definitely be looking forward to running that Padme on Darth Revan there, the way it stacks up.
Yeah, I think it would depend a lot on the turn order and speed with it, because if Malik being modded weirdly sometimes changes things, but either way, it should work.
There is a little extra variance in there, but it's more if Malik goes first, it can cause some issues, because the shock will kind of make it easier to lose a character really quickly. But if Darth Revan and Bastila go first, and if Darth Revan goes first and then Malik goes and then Bastila, it's fine. It's one of those. It's only when that shot comes out right quick can there be some variance there, and that's what I found just using it in arena over and over again. The biggest problem I always found is getting locked behind when you get locked in that fear train. If you can't control that with C-3PO, it goes really sideways. I really do hope they add more characters like C-3PO that have translation and can do some more of that kind of control stuff as well, because I mean it's a very cool function. So getting it on tech is really cool.
You've opened the door for what I am going to start talking about a lot more, and that is how much I want Jar Jar Binks in the game.
Confuse and translation.
Exactly. Translation, no. I think Jar Jar doesn't get that. I think Tech can stay with that. But he's definitely... That is another perfect character to work Confuse into the game.
I was joking around with this with someone in my shard, at least a year and a half ago. But how cool would it be if Jar Jar was fit perfectly into that Padme team, but kicked out Confuse all over the board on both the offense and the defense?
Confuse.
Exactly, but it hits your allies and the opposing team. So someone like Padme can spin that into courage.
Oh, I literally, you said it, and I knew, before you said it, I knew where you were going already.
Yeah.
She was going to be able to flip it and be able to use it into courage. But the really awkward part about that would be, they would have to make Jar Jar to the point where he would be the Malik killer.
Yeah.
Because you can, I'm not going to say here and say, Padme can't kill Malik, because she totally can. But that is generally the crush point. Normally you either kill the entire squad, or it's just Malik left standing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you make that happen. The Jar Jar is the Malik killer.
I think I have a good idea. So make it so he can do unresistible heal block. All of a sudden,
like JTR.
Yeah, all of a sudden he has that come in and as one of his moves, and suddenly Padme's a really solid counter to Darth Revan, even if the modding isn't perfect. Because you've got the thing that always stops you is that Malik, if you don't land that heal block from Anakin, it's just you're gonna get stuck there unless you can get a stun on him from Padme. There's a lot of issues there that can go wrong. But I'm thinking
there's a modding too. Even these people have a pure tenacity Malik. Normally have to skip out on protection, and if you can just keep hitting them with as you call them, the group hugs, he dies.
Yeah.
He'll get his three sucky sucks, however you want to call it. And then you group hug him, and then he dies.
Yeah, it definitely can work that way if they've skimped on protection for it. So that's how I would see Jar Jar slide in there. Is he does Confuse, and he hits both sides of the board with it, because he fucking would, wouldn't he? But then he does have things like where he can put that unresistible heal block on, and maybe an unresistible buff block, that kind of thing. Just give him those kind of options. Hell, even exposes. If he did a train of exposes, oh man,
Yeah, I'm not sure what the rest of his kit would be. He would have to maybe like give a new type of buff, like morale or something like that, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like where your head is at with the AoE confuse, but not just not just the enemy, but your allies too, because you could make that work out positively.
Yeah,
especially in the Padme team.
And more importantly, if they did come out with a Gun faction, like they could work with that. Like that could be something that they build off of that is a positive for them. That doesn't
like Darth Revan. Like the more debuffs they get, the faster they get.
Exactly. So you do that, but you also make it so he has synergy with Padme as that fifth, right? And then he doesn't work anywhere else just because he screws them up with confuse. You know what I mean? So it doesn't become
really like. Yeah, like where else would Jar Jar go if not with Padme? Like he would be Galactic Republic.
Yeah,
and then like you said, if they introduced the Gungan faction, it would be Gungan. Like I don't think you could slot him in any other team.
Yeah, and so that way it would like synergize really well that way, and then they can do some fun stuff with Gungans and like make them feed off of confuse or whatever because they're a very talented faction.
And for every 2 stacks of confusion they get angering, get stacking 10% offense or something like that.
Yeah, that does not cap or something like that for the rest of the battle. So the longer the fight goes on, the more confused they get, the more enraged they get, and like I could see that being really cool. What do you think of Fury on Wrecker?
I think it's really balanced. I think we're starting to get to a point where with a lot of the kits, we're really just continuing to get variations of things that already exist. Like when I looked at his kit, I saw a lot of Scion.
Yeah.
Like this idea of getting, I think you get, is it Fury and then Fury becomes Furious? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of Scion with his pain and held by hatred mechanic. I think they have it really well balanced to the point like he needs 10. After he gets it, he only gets it for like 2 turns. I think he was a really good character, but the Fury on him I thought was fine. I do love that he has a little bit of pop blue in him too. Like if you make him stealth, he taunts.
Yeah.
It's like a Scion and a pop blue love child.
Well, the coolest thing about that is when you look at the stealth functions in that team, the way it is working so far with Tech and Hunter, he's gonna be basically taunting out of turn a lot, which is really cool. Because your other characters,
the amount of times they're calling him into stealth.
Yeah, so I really like that function. That's one of the things that I was talking about with what I thought would make it work so well in the cam mission, is just this you can make him just ultra tanky and just keep putting him in the forefront. So only the AOE's can kind of hit your team. Django can't rocket anybody but him. It becomes like this kind of motion where you're protecting the rest of your team really well just by throwing out that stealth.
No, and constantly having both the stealth and, like you said, the out of turn taunt. That's really important nowadays.
Yeah.
Because there are way too many. No, okay, it's just the way the game is going. There are way too many dispels right now. Like.
Oh, might have just lost you again. I think we lost him. Let's see. Do we have you? Are you here? I think that might be it. Okay. All right. I think we lost him there. All right, I think that's going to be the end of it, guys. In his absentia, I will go ahead and say thanks so much, Calvin, for being here. It was a pleasure having you. I'll let you know in in the Discord box if you don't get back in here right quickly. But thanks so much for joining me, and it was nice having a chat with you. And one second, just letting him know. I'm going to shut it down. It was good chat having him here. I hope you guys really enjoyed the chat as well. As always, if you like the channel, like the video, go ahead and throw a thumbs up for us, and go ahead and like and subscribe to the page and keep up with all the latest news. We're going to have our GAC coming in next week. So we're going to have all our streaming replays here on YouTube. We don't actually archive them on Twitch, so you have to come here to watch them. And we should have some more Strat Chats coming for you in the near future. Once again, thanks so much for Calvin for being here, and we'll just have to keep it live. Anywho, take care, guys. Have a good one.